Gen Z is the youngest kind of generation at the moment, born between 1996 and 2012. So they range between the age of 9 and 24 years old at the moment. The reason why we're so interested in Gen Z is giving us a window into our future. And that's why brands, companies are so obsessed with understanding what they're interested in and what they're doing.
If you look at the numbers, Gen Z aren't necessarily that different to other generations, but there are some big differences in things like more exposure to screens, but then I think more about creation than simply passive consumption.
Gen Z are creators. They create TikTok videos, they create music, and actually more so over lockdown. And they've come into a world where everything is connected. Their lives are totally entwined between online and offline.
They're much more used to the idea of appearing on screens, and they're much more used to the idea of having a digital identity.
And that probably means that their way of developing relationships with other people is different than previous generations. So I suppose that's the element that we're interested in.
So what do Gen Z expect when brands market to them? Now that's the billion-dollar question or multi-billion-dollar question, right? If you are a brand which is well established and has had incredible success over years across countries, you can't assume that naturally carries through to the next generation. You need to win them back, and you will need to win them back in language, in behavior, in actions that respond to their values and their outlook. And I think that humility for brands is critical, and the Gen Z need to understand that there is that humility. One advantage we have is that we have this incredibly rich data set called CCS that we can rely on, and we've been collecting that data globally for the last 20 years.
CCS stands for Consumer Connection System, and it's a panel that includes in-depth information about motivations, lifestyles, media consumption behaviours, and we have it across 69 countries. So it's a truly global solution, and we use it across all the kind of Dentsu companies.
One of the more fascinating things you see is that Gen Z are more likely to have similar opinions across countries than they are to share opinions and values across age groups within their country. You could always relate that back to the fact that culture is global now, technology is global now, communication is global now. So understandably, the context in which you grow up is sort of global. You do see nuances in cultures, but there are a lot more similarities across nations than there are across, let's say, age groups or generations.
I don't see Gen Z as this single group. I think it's about learning who your customers are and who your potential customers are, learning what they do, and then trying to be authentically in that space, whether it's Snapchat, whether it's TikTok, whether it's gaming environments. So I think you can't look at Gen Z as one homogeneous group, but it's about which ones are most likely to be your customers, and then how to engage with them based on what you can observe them doing and what you understand about them.